I'm Shaggy the Opinionated Hippie, and this is part 7 of my reviewing and ranking the live Phish series. We are on volume 7. I'm going to review it, and I'll show you where I think it falls among the other 6 I've already done. This is a complete show from August 14th, 1993. This is a Phish is leveling up right here. Pretty much this entire run, like right around this part of August 93. The Phish game was upping. And what we have here, particularly in the second set, like a 30-minute run in the second set, is one of those things that kind of came to define what Phish was doing better than anybody for 93, 94, into 95 before, or even towards the end of 94 when they started to just lengthen things and do less of what this is on here and more just long jams. But this is the beginning of an absolutely like the early first magnificent peak of Phish to me. I managed to hit a couple shows early on this tour, like late July in like the southeast part of the United States, and then I had to get back to Texas. This is my first year to be a teacher. I was, I think, not in class at this point. We didn't start till like late August in Texas because of the heat. But I was back at workshops. I remember I got home from work. I think it might have been the day after this, the 15th, or maybe even the 16th. And back then, internet obviously did not exist, or it existed, but not everybody had it. And I got a phone call when I got home from work one day for a friend of mine who was on this tour. He had finished out the tour. It was like, dude, Chicago, my Antelope, this is crazy. And it was like one of those shows you had to get because of what Phish does in the second set. Amazing. Segway Fest, crazy, sort of the one of many trial runs to the epic 94 Bomb Factory tweezer. But anyways, let's get on to what the show is. 3 discs. Set 1 fits entirely on disc 1. And it's a pretty, I guess, an average Phish 93 set 1, but it's good. Like Phish was like bringing it every single night. And really what you have, you get just excellent versions of all these songs. You don't really get any like far out there, like mic drop moments. You don't get like, this is not a must hear first set, I would say. But it's a good first set, and it represents the good energy of what Phish was bringing in 93. Opens up with a Chalk Dust Torture, pretty straightforward Chalk Dust Torture, high energy solo by Trey. We get a Gula Papyrus. We get a really good Divided Sky, a nice kind of drawn out, a little bit longer than maybe normal in this era, Divided Sky. Maybe not. I haven't heard a lot of Divided Skies lately because this is the first one, I think, in the live Phish series. But really nice to hear this. Such a beautiful song, and it just feels really, really good to hear this. We get the Horse Silent in the Morning, which I always thought was it was always a weird song unless it was an encore, I always thought. So to have it like the first half of the first set's kind of weird. We get an It's Ice, pretty nice It's Ice. A Sparkle, which I'm never a fan of. A Split Open and Melt that has some serious like disco bass line energy from Mike. Really good, really fun, just like a really nice 93 Split Open and Melt. We get an Esther, which is always nice to hear. Reminds me of early Genesis at times. We get a Poor Heart, and then we get a Cavern to close out. And they're having fun with this Cavern and kind of tweaking it in little ways, messing with like the little pockets in between the verses. So it's a fun Cavern. But none of this really like sets you up for what's going to happen in the second set when you have a 30-minute run of just like magic. Opens up with the 2001. This is, the relatively early days of 2001, where we're only like 4.5 minutes, 5 minutes. We're not like extending it and like amplifying the disco dance elements of it. Still a good 2001. Then we drop into an Antelope, and we get, for the most part, for the first like 12, 13 minutes, just this really nice, healthy, well-jammed, high energy, everything you could ever want out of an Antelope. It's fantastic. But then we go into Sparks, an absolutely phenomenal cover. And just like, we just slowly find our way into the dun, 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 dun. Great choice of covers, always. Interestingly enough, Sparks and the next song, Walk Away, are also 2 songs that would find their way into the Bomb Factory Tweezer Fest. So we get a Sparks, then we go into Walk Away. After Walk Away, we slide into this jam that's like, not run like an Antelope energy. It's like a little bit all over the place, definite type 2 energy. We're exploring new ideas, gets kind of weirdly proggy at times. Just really, really good sort of brand new energy type jam for about 5 minutes. Then all of a sudden the energy starts like picking up. We're getting a quicker rhythm, and we're fully back into an Antelope. This is Antelope territory. Trey's soloing like Antelope. We're finally back in Antelope. So we have like a 13-minute Antelope. We played 2 other songs. We have this whole other jam, and we're back in Antelope, which now in 2023, this kind of thing is not surprising. Back then, it was not the norm for Phish to do things like that. And this sort of Antelope Fest is like one of those moments where like, oh my gosh, the way they did it, they went back into Antelope. Well, then they go back into Antelope, and then they go into Have Mercy, and they play like a 3-minute Have Mercy, and then they go back into Antelope, but they're like doing it over like the Have Mercy groove, and then they wrap it up, and then they finally end it. And it's like 30 minutes of just like improv segue fest heaven. And it's the energy is high, like their segues are amazing, and it's just like, whoa, Phish is just really like really redefining jam bands and what you can do with a jam band. But then the rest of the set, it almost feels like we're kind of exhausted from that, and so we need to maybe find a more like predictable, safe run of songs for a while, which we kind of do. And so I can't say they're bad, but I do think after the Antelope craziness, you almost just kind of want that kind of like chaos to continue, a la what they would do with Tweezer at the Bomb Factory, when finally they did that, and the payoff was amazing. But anyways, we get a mound. We get the Squirming Coil, really nice ending to the Squirming Coil. Right before Page's like solo piano, we get some nice sort of Genesis-y action, like Trey's playing some almost like Steve Hackett-y like sounds on his guitar. Really nice proggy energy. Then we get a Daniel Saw the Stone, which is always nice, traditional cover. That ends disc 2, the 2001 all the way through Daniel Saw the Stone. Then disc 3 starts off with a really good You Enjoy Myself, and they're almost in the You Enjoy Myself jam, flirting with that Antelope energy. We get the Page jam. And I want to go back to Antelope because there's an organ solo from Page in that Antelope before we go into Sparks, which is really, really nice. Like they're really just like, it's not a Trey guitar vehicle. Like they're already kind of expanding the palette of Antelope. But when we get to You Enjoy Myself, we get the Page energy solo. Things kind of get broken down and we get kind of weird. And then we go into this jam, this kind of just amazing jam that quotes Smoke on the Water really well. We get a Speed Racer little flirt with. Then we go into Mystery Achievement, and Trey actually starts singing Mystery Achievement. And so it really, really feels like You Enjoy Myself is now being infused with this like run like an Antelope energy where we can go in and out of songs and do whatever we want. And then eventually we'll just end up back in the vocal jam and ride out the vocal jam and even throw in maybe a little on Broadway tease in the middle of a vocal jam, a tiny little one, just to show that we can do this with the vocals. But yeah, just really good energy. But then we get that goes into a Purple Rain. Page starts playing the piano out of the vocal jam. Really nice. I know Purple Rain is sort of like, a novelty tune with, Fishman singing it, playing the vacuum, but it's such a great song. And Phish performs his butt off. And it works really well out of You Enjoy Myself. Well placed. And then we get a Golgi apparatus to close the main set. And then a really good LaGrange for an encore. Always just bringing some nice, good guitar solo energy to end. So it's an average first set, but average for what? I'm forgetting where I am. For what year are we? 93 Phish. But average for 93 Phish is really, really good. 2001, the entire disc 2 of this, the first the run like an Antelope, that 30-minute run like an Antelope, must hear. It's like Phish is leveling up. They're taking their jams to another level. The YEM kind of echoes that. The other stuff is really well played, really tasty, but this really does just like almost like tease you because the 67-minute Tweezer is not going to be for like almost another year, and like they're showing they have the ability to do something like that, and just really, really exciting moment in Phish history. And then there's 3 bonus tracks on the third disc. a Mike's Great Gig in the Sky Weekapaw from 3 days earlier. The Mike's is really good, gets kind of weird. Trey and Mike kind of hone in on this like kind of weird little motif or riff that they repeat over and over. And then Fishman starts yelling, kind of, I guess that's what he does, some Games Without Frontiers, Peter Gabriel lyrics. And then Page kind of follows that on the guitar and kind of plays that little melody from Games on the guitar. Then we eventually kind of wind down into A Great Gig in the Sky, which is beautiful. Again, another one of those like Fishman gimmick songs, but because it's like led by Page's piano, it just works perfectly. That goes into a really good Weekapaw that almost quickly abandons Weekapaw energy and goes like out type 2 deep stuff before we rebuild it back in and go into Weekapaw to finish. So it's like a really good, like, all things total, like close to a 30-minute Mike's Great Gig Weekapaw from earlier that also is kind of showing like what they're going to start doing with their jams and how they're going to explore in different ways. And it's not just going to be, I mean, they were already starting to get weird and, and explore and type 2 more, but now it just feels like they're kicking open another door and the opportunities, the possibilities are even more so than they were before. But yeah, for what such an iconic show, where would I put it among the other ones? I have to admit, I put it down there at number 4. Only because I do think the first set is kind of average, and I think the first sets of those 3 above it are better. And I think other than like the Antelope and the YEM, You Enjoy Myself, I really think the other stuff is just standard great Phish, but not like next level. And the bonus tracks help. But I do think it is a more interesting jam than Volume 1. But I don't think the entirety of the show is as good as Volume 6. So I would put it right in the middle for now. But it's a really, really, really good show, and it's a really good listen. And if you're inclined to check it out, I know it's all over streaming. I mean, you can skip the first set. The first set is solid, but it's that second set. It's that energy of like the first 35 minutes. Absolutely fantastic. But anyways, that's all I got for Phish Volume 7. Yeah, thanks for watching. Subscribe, like, share, leave your comments. Let me know your thoughts on this, especially if you go seek it out. Like to know if we can maybe turn on some new Phish fans, because I have not listened to Phish in a long time as regularly as I am now, and rediscovering these shows and revisiting them is making me very happy. They're a really, really good band. But anyways, that's all I got. Thanks for watching. Peace. Talk to you later.